One of the most difficult things to talk about in a general way when we talk about Visco is how to create and manage deliveries. And that is because there are a lot of, let's call them customizations, but it's not really that. It's more different configuration options that are available. But we'll work with the default settings, and you just may know that you may have some less options or more options depending on your specific install. So to talk about how to get to the delivery portion, first you've got to allocate a sales order if you are allocating orders. So to do that, you can do it from the sales order menu and sales order allocation. This link also exists in the inventory menu as well. But let's go sales order allocation, and I'll choose this one I just created, sales order 1241. This is an order for 100 pieces of this particular part. And we've got multiple options here in terms of how we can manage this allocation. One is we can just pull from the 100 oldest pieces in inventory. To do that, you would, from the action menu, choose release, and the system will automatically allocate against the oldest inventory in the warehouse that you've selected. So these are the warehouses that you have inventory available. You select your warehouse and then choose release, or you can choose final match. And what that's going to do is it's going to take the 100 oldest pieces in inventory and set them on hold for this customer. So it's a way to allocate the inventory but not ship it out right away. That's how to pull based on oldest inventory. Now, if you want to be more specific than that and you want to pull specific, either specific lots or against specific ventures in Visco terms, then you can pull up a list of all the available lots or all the available ventures for that product. So in this case, these are all the ventures that are available. This gives you the venture number, which is just made up of the purchase order number, line item, and then shipment number. So this is the first shipment on purchase order 1245. Came from this vendor, China Exports. This particular PO there's 800 pieces sitting in inventory. It was received in April 20th, 2015, and that's the warehouse that it's sitting in, right? So it gives you the warehouse. Now, if it's on the water, or if it's still in transit, I should say, it tells you the ETA, or the expected arrival date of that container, when the container can come in. So you can actually allocate against inventory even if it's still on the water. So let's say I'm going to choose this particular venture, 127011. I'll choose 100 pieces and allocate it. And what that'll do is it will highlight it, and it's going to set that inventory aside for the customer. I should mention one other thing while we're here, which is if any of the inventory had been pre-allocated to other customers, you could see that pre-allocations exist, and it would show you the order number in which that inventory has been allocated in the pre-allocation column. But let's say, okay, we've allocated that. Now notice it changed the status to final matched. That's saying that you've allocated that order against inventory. And if you actually want to ship it out right away, you change the status here to release. And you could say create delivery, which goes and adds that order to a delivery. Now, that's the way most people do it, but there is another option where if you wanted to combine orders together in a delivery, you would uncheck that. Let me do that, and I'll show you that screen. So if you were going to do that, from the logistics menu, you would go into delivery maintenance, and you'd say create delivery. So it's going to automatically assign delivery numbers, and then down here is a listing of all the orders that have that status of release to logistics. So these are orders that are ready to ship but have not yet shipped. So I'm just going to pick that one that we just created and say select it, and it moves it up here and adds it to the delivery. Now this list then is now pre-filtered by any other orders that are also ready to ship and would be shipping out of that same warehouse, which was Charleston in this case. So if I wanted to, I could add more releases. So if you're shipping out more than one order at a time, you could do that. In this case, I'll just add the one. I'll click proceed, and this brings us into the delivery information. So initial tab here, releases, shows us what orders are in this delivery. The general info is just notes, comments, dates. This is generally used only if you're shipping out of your own warehouse. It's kind of like notes to the warehouse manager. Otherwise, it doesn't get used all that often. And then the links are these are all the documentation that's available in the system to help you manage the delivery. So first off is the route planning sheet. So this would be if you have your own trucks or your own vans that are making deliveries and you want to tell the specific driver which stop to make first, what to drop off, what stop to make second, where to drop off. So you generate this document. It lists all the orders that are in this delivery. You can move them around. So you're telling them where to go first, where to go second. And then there's an area where he can indicate the mileage on the van or the truck when he left and when he got back, the time they left, the time he got back. It's kind of designed to be used as a worksheet and to be written up by, a lot of the information to be written by hand by the trucker. So that's the route planning sheet. There's also the delivery order, customizable document, but the concept here is probably in most cases you're using a third-party warehouse and you're arranging for the trucking for the delivery to the customer, in which case you choose who the trucker is and put a delivery date on it, and let's say create delivery and generate document. Now what this does actually is load an Excel spreadsheet with multiple worksheets in it. Let's load that up. So one of them is this first worksheet, the bill of lading. So this is designed to go to the trucker. That basically says, you know, where he's shipping to, what's in the truck, the weight, place from the sign off and everything. So that's a standard bill of lading document. So you can email that out. And then there's an inventory release form which tells the warehouse what to ship out. If you're shipping in your own warehouse and you want to keep track of warehouse locations, those get listed on the inventory release form. In fact, I think in that case we normally change it, we just call it a pick ticket. And then it shows you, you know, who the trucker is carrying it. Any special instructions would show up there as well. So if it's hazardous material or anything special about the way the product needs to be handled, that would show up in the special instructions, and you could type things in there too if you wanted to. So those are those documents. You can create a packing list. If you are exporting, there's a set of export documents that get created here as well in the delivery. So a certificate of origin, packing list, certificate of origin, packing list, instructions, commercial invoice, certificate of analysis, bill of lading. All the documentation required for exports is there as well. You can upload and attach documents here as well. So let's say that you receive back a signed bill of lading from the trucker with the customer's signature, and you want to keep a record of that. You come in here and say add document. You can drag and drop that file in, or select from a file on your computer, and let's say signed bill of lading. So now you have this digital library here of all the documentation related to this delivery, whether it's generated by the system or it's been received in from outside sources. It'll keep a record of who created the documents, meaning what user, the date it was created. And then if you just want email out from here, you can as well. And the final step in the delivery is the actual invoice process, where when you click this link, ship an invoice, it's going to ask you what you want the invoice date to be. It defaults to today's date. You can tack on some additional miscellaneous charges. If you want to charge the customer extra for freight or repackaging or something like that, you can. And then you click this button, ship an invoice, which removes the inventory, removes the goods from inventory, and it also generates an invoice, which would be the invoice you would send to the customer. And then from that point on, you need to make changes to the invoice, whether you change price or change quantity or something like that. That's done in the invoice maintenance, and that's also where you would post that invoice to QuickBooks when you're ready to do that.